Kia ora. Hi from Raumati South, New Zealand. My name is Michael Heath, and I'm the writer of Grampire. And I'd like to welcome you to this wonderful chance to do a commentary on our film of 30 years old. And I'll hand you over to the director, David Blythe.
Greetings from Auckland, New Zealand. My name is David Blythe, and I am the director of Grampire, or Moonrise as we called it, and very happy to be here to talk to you about this film.
And I'm David Gregory from Severin Films, and I'll be moderating. We talked about the fact that this film has several titles. Why don't you talk us through how that came to be, and what is your preferred title?
Well, originally it was written as a children's radio play for Radio New Zealand in 1986. It was done in 6 20-minute episodes, and I think I might have given the play to David to read. We'd just done Death Warmed Up, and we were looking for a new project. So totally different from Death Warmed Up, a children's family comedy, a pantomime, crazy little pantomime film. And David loved it. And in 1992, the film was actually shot in Auckland at Piha Beach with a wonderful cast. And I'll hand you over to David to tell you what happened next.
Well, Michael, you mentioned pantomime, and of course Al Lewis is one of the original pantomime actors in America. He goes back to Ma and Pa Kettle. So Al Lewis was always a focus for us to see if we could actually get him to do this movie. And obviously, once we had him on board, this project started to really move forward. But ironically, the film was shot at the beginning of the Iraq War 30 years ago, and it resulted in us losing our American investment, and the film subsequently had to be made for a much lower budget.
So you had a more of a Addams Family type movie in mind originally, is that right?
We did. We even had storyboard artists from Hollywood like Paul Power helping with the storyboarding, and we had a lot more special effects. But in the end, we had to go back and do a lot of in-camera effects because of the budget being slashed by the American investors pulling out.
Okay, so where we're shooting here, this is a set that you build for the carnival?
Yes, this is a set at North Piha Beach, and we're looking at Dame Pat Everson, who plays Aunt Leah, Grandpa's daughter. And what's interesting is that I had a 97-year-old grandfather who also had his daughter looking after him, and so there was a sort of a parallel in my life with Michael Heath's vampire story of the old man who was never going to die.
So here's the scene where the two young boys meet. This is Lonny, who's just arrived from Los Angeles, who is the nephew of Aunt Leah, and his friend Kanziora, a local Kiwi boy. And here they are driving through beautiful sort of supernatural landscapes out to Piha Beach, bringing them home back to the house where Grandpa Cougar is recovering from after a nasty fall at the carnival.
And we should just say that Justin Goki was cast. He was in the TV series in America, Santa Barbara, which he won a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Young Actor in a drama series. And of course, Kanziora, the local boy, Milan Boric, has gone on to be the lead singer in the band Pluto.
Huh.
And of course, Pat Everson, who plays the auntie, has in her later years became a dame. So it's Dame Pat Everson.
Was that for services to drama that she became a dame?
Yes, she was a very famous film and stage actress, and performed in England and Australia, and is one of these sort of rare people of a certain age now that can actually deliver wonderful performances. So here are the boys arriving at the house in Piha, and it's the first meeting with Cougar in his bedroom.
Was that a house exterior as set as well, or was it actually a house?
It's a house. It's a well-known early pioneer house called Alberton House.
Oh, so it's like it's a house that you can a historic building that you can go visit.
Absolutely, but this scene inside the bedroom is a set.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about
Go
ahead.
I could just mention that the production designer of this set went on to get an Oscar for Lord of the Rings, Kim Sinclair, and also the wardrobe mistress Nyla Dickinson went on to get an Academy Award also in Lord of the Rings, which was a few years later after Grandpire.
The film is shot with these very, very rich colours, and of course, in those days, it was actually shot on film. So it's wonderful seeing this resurrection of this digital realisation, to see the true, wonderful cinematography of Kevin Hayward. David, talk a little bit about Kevin's work.
Well, he was. We called him the Dark Prince because he loved to go for the darker, rich colours, and it was a great experience to work with him. And I just loved the sort of way that he gave a gothic, filmic quality to the New Zealand landscape.
Yes, very much so. Did you refer to any specific horror movies or vampire movies with him when you were planning the look at the film?
Yes, we obviously are fans of Murnau's Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Dreyer's Vampire would be another film that we looked at and was quite influenced by.
Were there any color vampire films that would influence the look?
Not really. I mean, there have been. This was sort of more looking back towards early cinema rather than going to any contemporary films, of which probably the best of the last would be Herzog's Nosferatu, the remake with Klaus Kinski, which was probably the first of the colour, but not the more recent load of horror films. I always thought that the vampire is the vilest, the most detested, and the most popular of the creatures of the netherworld, and it was so nice to be able to give him a new credence in a much more colourful palette, to bring it back into the real world, as it were.
Yeah,
and to subvert the vampire genre, in that he's a vampire that doesn't really like blood.
Right.
And so a lot of my films have been about subverting the usual storytelling genre around a particular thing like vampirism.
Now, this gentleman that's just appeared is Leah's latest boyfriend. His name is Ernie Node. You'll notice that most of the characters have very funny names. Children like funny names. And because this film is basically told from the perspective of the two boys, I just wanted to keep the innocence of the kids all throughout the film, rather than go the other way. So there's some very funny scenes, also because they're great comical actors, and I think they really deliver.
And
So here here's Kanziora discovering why Grandpa is not in the photographs that were taken. So his suspicions have already begun.
because, of course, vampires don't appear in photographs.
Were these elements that were in the radio show as well, Michael? Tell us
No,
about that.
no, I think because when you go from one genre to another, I mean, like a book to a film, to a play to a film. I think you can be more exploratory, more visual, and also because we lost a lot of the budget and there was a lot of flying scenes in the radio player where of course you can sink the Titanic, it's not going to cost you anything, but on film everything costs, so it became more character based. So we sort of upped the comedy, but basically it is the same story of the two boys, sort of trying to help, believing in this other world and helping somebody who's caught between the two worlds.
And also, it's that reaching out to American culture and American genre. And I've always loved America and went there as a 19-year-old and really wanted to bring that American aspect into the New Zealand filmic world, if you like. So it's a friendship between cultures.
That's right. Now, you guys were among the first New Zealanders to make contemporary horror movies, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the pre-Peter Jackson world that you made Death Warmed Up. Can you tell me about how you met and how all that came about?
Oh, David's got a good story.
Which one is that, Michael?
The Vincent Ward one.
Oh, we met at a Vincent Ward party in Newmarket, Auckland. And
tell them who Vincent Ward is.
Vincent Ward is the director of a number of major international films, Vigil, The Navigator. I can't think of any of the others at this moment.
What Dreams May Come, did he do that?
What Dreams May Come, yes, with Robin.
Yep. The Party, David.
The Party. I can't remember much, to be honest, Michael. You'll have to tell it. But I think you bought the cryogenics idea for Death Warmed Up.
That's right.
We talked about that at the party. And that's what led to us going forward with Death Warmed Up. But in this case, Moonrise actually came after I'd done a film in Canada, Red-Blooded American Girl, with Christopher Plummer. And that's where, in fact, I found the composer for this film, Jim Manzies, who did Red-Blooded American Girl, but also did films in America like Tales from the Dark Side. He did the music. He's an Australian who I met, funnily enough, at a David Del Valle party in Los Angeles.
Well.
It's the first time I've seen the New Zealand Herald, moose attack in Alaska, 3 bitten. I've never seen it sort of so clear before, which is a completely fictitious headline, but it makes people laugh. Now here's the boys. The boys are about to go not waterboarding. Surfing at Piha. Piha has the most beautiful beach. It's one of the most amazing beaches in New Zealand. And we thought we'd throw the boys into the water to give them a little taste of fun. So this is a sequence shot at Piha Beach.
And of course, this is a beach that I went to as a teenager. And the road out to this beach was a gravel road when I was in my teens. So this has great childhood memories for me as well of surfing at these West Coast beaches. And we wanted to really show that incredible summer excitement of surf and water and sun.
Did you still have what you would consider an adequate budget for this, David? You mentioned that you lost a lot of the American investment because of the Iraq War. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, we obviously had a lot more special effects involved, and when the war started and we lost our investor, Michael had to kind of rewrite the script to make it a little bit more, I suppose, dramatic comedy. We just had to do our best. There was a sort of argument that maybe we shouldn't have made the film at all because of losing the budget. But I'm just so glad that we actually made this film, because I sort of feel now it's a classic.
And it was kind of a change of pace for you doing a children's film. Why that decision?
Well, again, as we've just discussed, I like the fact that we were stretching and changing the genre. With Red-Blooded American Girl, it was a vampire story around the AIDS virus. And again, with Moonrise here, it was a vampire that wanted to inspire children to believe in their dreams, rather than the classic genre vampire that got some strange sexual connotation, and it's a negative outcome. I wanted this to be a story where children were inspired to believe in their dreams.
And this is a scene which was not on the radio play, but it's basically a belief that holy water is not particularly well suited to vampires, and the boys tried to steal some from the Catholic Church from the font to prove that Cougar is a vampire, but unfortunately the milkshake container gets spilled.
And that actor is Ian Watkin, who is also in Peter Jackson's Brain Dead as Uncle Les, I think.
That's right. Yes,
he's correct.
Yes,
He's a classic Gothic kind of actor in New Zealand. Unfortunately, he's passed away.
And here's another famous New Zealand actor, Beryl Te Weata. David, you'd like to talk about her?
Well, she is another well-known actress, and these two well-known stars didn't actually get on in real life.
So oh dear, what happened?
Well, just, actress kind of
behavior.
But in this scene, they had to be charming to each other, so we enjoyed that scene. And Beryl's daughter is Rima Te Weata, who's been in a number of well-known New Zealand horror and comedy films.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Grandpa's false teeth. Because, growing up as children, there was always that whole thing of grandparents with false teeth and in a glass of water sitting by their bed. It was an image that
exactly, yeah,
came from childhood again.
Okay, so Grandpa Al Lewis, how did you first get in touch with him?
That came through us getting an American casting director on board, and we were just amazed that he was interested and that he was prepared to come out to New Zealand. He really loved the script and was very decent on the payments, etc. Because obviously after the budget got slashed, so did all the fees for everyone, including us. So we all had to make the film for less money. But both Michael and I have been admirers of a number of the American 60s TV shows, and The Munsters was definitely one of them. And I always thought Al was a fascinating character because he has that pantomime background. So
Yeah, he goes back to vaudeville. Would he tell stories about this?
He did. He talked about working with Ma and Pa Kettle, who were apparently very early performers in American pantomime. So yes, he had a beautiful way of visualizing actions through that pantomime approach to acting. And he had a lot of energy, and of course it was an interesting situation. We had 3 elderly leads and the 2 young boys, and we had to keep the sugar away from all 5 of them for different reasons. The elderly were all having issues with diabetes, of course. And the young ones, we had to keep them away from the sugar, otherwise they'd be bursting out of their skins. And I think I sent you those 3 little Polaroids of the boys trying on different little outfits. It was wonderful. They just had such energy. And I think that Kanziora, Milan Boric, really brought a freshness that he passed on to Justin Goki, who obviously had come from a far more formalized background of having been in American TV series. And the energy and the synergy between the 2 boys, I think, is one of the successful elements of the film.
Now, how was Al working with the children? Did he get along with them? Was he good with children?
Yes, he was excellent with children, and Al was just an absolute pleasure to work for. There's only one small thing, and I unfortunately am guilty of this with a number of other American stars, and that is that you never, ever call in an actor over 60 after 8 o'clock at night to do a scene. They get very grumpy. And now that I'm in that age group myself, I completely understand. But as a young filmmaker, we didn't think anything of, bringing someone in to do a scene at night. So I got told off by Christopher Plummer, Ron Silver, and Al Lewis for that over different films.
And then you learnt your lesson?
Well, yes, I finally learnt my lesson, I guess. So here we are in the grounds of Alberton, and the boys see a little romantic moment between Aunt Leah and Noel. So, of course, young kids watching adults snog has always been a bit of a giggle.
Now, did you have any problems with the child actors, or were they completely professional? Because they do say, directing children is one of the more difficult things you can do as a director.
These 2 were fantastic. I've had other experiences that weren't so successful on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and other shows, but no, both of the kids were just fantastic. And Al was really wonderful with them, and he taught us all quite a lot as well. That's the great thing about working with these wonderful stars. They bring with them, a whole lifetime of experience in the industry. And it was a very happy set.
Now, we just saw a close-up of his nails there. He came to the set with his nails grown, right?
That's right. I sent you a photograph of him at Auckland Airport, black and white. Yeah. And he arrived in New Zealand with the hair long, his nails long. He was totally in character.
So he obviously didn't have the same kind of aversion to being typecast as his Munster's character as, say, Fred Gwynne did.
Yeah, I think you're right. And of course, he was at a much later stage of life. And, Al had all sorts of other strands to his bow, if you like. He had a New York restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he had a pasta factory.
Really?
So I think he was quite a wealthy man. And he used to say to me, David, it's not show business, it's business show. So he understood the whole process, and he was a very successful person in his financial career. He would have died a multimillionaire.
And he brought with him his wife Karen as well. Was she involved in the movie at all?
She appears in the wake scene, and when we get there, I'll point her out.
Yeah.
This is the classic, again, growing up and being away from your parents and having to have a phone call, and that feeling of isolation of being dumped at the grandparents and missing your parents.
Now, you said you had worked overseas for quite a few years before this. Were you homesick? Were you itching to get back to New Zealand and make another movie?
Obviously, one is always drawn back to one's place of birth. But for me, I wanted to be able to work between America and New Zealand. And at this point, I was very lucky to be able to do that. Having just done the Red-Blooded American Girl film for Paramount, it was an exciting opportunity to bring that New Zealand American thing together in Grandpire, and working in Los Angeles gave me a little bit more understanding of how the American cinema industry works. So this was a culmination of those strands coming together into one film.
Oh, there's Amanda Donahoe from Lair of the White Worm.
Yes.
Well, I'm a big Ken Russell fan.
Well, I mean, he's got various horror posters on the wall, of course.
Yeah.
Including the Bela Lugosi, which, of course, says it all, really.
Yeah, and Vincent Price over his shoulder.
But yes, exactly.
Now, had you guys have had other projects in the interim between this and Death Warmed Up that didn't happen, that you developed?
Well, yes, we had a couple. One of them was a later one, which never was made, unfortunately. But there was one called Sweethearts, wasn't it, David?
Yes.
There was a sort of an alien, a very funny alien attack, which never got anywhere. But there was a major one called
Lake of Lost Souls.
The Lake of Lost Souls.
Oh, what was that about?
A writer discovering that she was sexually abused by her father, and it was coming out in nightmares, and she returns home to find it was all true. Unfortunately, it wasn't passed by the New Zealand Film Commission. We spent 7 years on that project, didn't we, David?
Yep. No, we went through so many drafts.
It's a funeral party. Oh, Dad!
Thank you for everything.
Thank you for coming. Goodbye, Martha. Very sad. Hello, Kenziora. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
In you go.
That was one of the first real silences. So, did you know my grandfather?
So we're at the wake, and that's Al Lewis's wife, Karen, there.
And she was with him in New Zealand the whole time, right?
Correct. And she's written a book, and there's a whole chapter on their time here in New Zealand.
Yeah, I understand it was very positive. The whole thing was very positive for them.
Yeah.
Well, this film was sort of like in New Zealand, when we make films, we become a family. Because, we have small crews, and everyone on the film just got on with everyone all the time. It was just the most wonderful atmosphere. And seeing the film again in its beautiful digital restoration, where you can see Kevin Hayward's lighting. I mean, when I'm sitting here watching it this morning on my computer, I've never seen the film look so wonderful. So just kudos to everybody who has resurrected this lovely film, and hope all the best for it. So here we go. Lynn Waldegrave, David.
Yes. Some people find this a very controversial scene. But let's face it, if you've been to a wake as a child, there's always an auntie that's had a couple of drinks too many.
She's coming over.
Hey, darling. How are ya? All right, eh?
How you doing?
Bloody Bob's a beauty.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right, son.
And this is the local cop, and his name is Dickie Ticker. And his wife is called Winona.
Now, you talk about working on New Zealand film and the New Zealand Film Commission you've mentioned as well. Were they involved in all of your New Zealand productions?
Yes, because really, if you don't have Film Commission funding, you can't make a film in New Zealand.
I see. So how does that work? There's like an approval process for the script?
Yep, a whole process of approvals and approvals of each stage, basically. And we were lucky to get this happening, given that we lost our funding from America.
Gee, Pong's a bit, eh?
She's been sprinkling room deodorizer over him.
It's not. Lonny, could I check something out?
What?
Just stand beside me for a minute.
So
the boys have discovered the fangs.
Yes.
They're real. And they're convinced that he is truly a vampire.
Dates over him. Be respectful of the dead child. One day it'll be you in there.
Let's get out of here before I barf all over my shoes.
There's a little moment coming up which I'd like to talk about, which is sort of one of my little homages, which you will enjoy, David, also. There's a scene with this outside now, and Aunt Leah comes in, and she refers to how beautiful the evening is on this island Earth. And, of course, this island Earth is a very famous 1955 science fiction film directed by the great Joseph M. Newman, which is one of my favorite films. So there's a little homage to 1950s Hollywood fantasy here.
Mm-hmm.
Little scene where Leah comes in, and there's a second unit shot of Piha.
So did you guys grow up as monster movie fans then, kind of like the kid in the movie?
You go first, Dave.
Well, yes, I've always liked the horror films as a kid, and I guess it started with Doctor Who on TV, hiding behind the couch with the Daleks.
Yeah, it seems like that's what everybody did, in England and New Zealand too. Huh? It was hiding behind the couch is what you did watching Doctor Who.
Well, my little one was when I was at boarding school in Christchurch. I used to sneak out to a bug house that was called the Roxy. And in those days, in the 60s, it was the Hammer Horrors. So it was Christopher Lee in the bug house with the rats crawling around the floor in the cinema, watching early Dracula films. So I suppose I go way back to that period. But it was just part of, loving fantasy films from all cultures, really.
Oh, so in America they call it a grindhouse. In England they call it a flea pit, but in New Zealand you call it a bug house.
Well, and yes, they sort of disappeared, in sort of the 70s. Those sort of houses weren't around anymore, where they showed a lot of exploitation films. But a lot of films are very heavily censored in New Zealand during that period. But the Dracula films seem to be very popular. So that was my sort of first excursion into the world of the vampire.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, too, thinking back on it, David. I mean, we did very few drafts of the screenplay of both Death Warmed Up and Moonrise. They seemed to go through quite quickly, so we were really lucky, especially with Moonrise, because you were up in LA at the time working. You just finished a film, and I had gone up to do the final scripting for this film, which was great fun being in America writing the film. So we were very lucky that the film got made very quickly.
Lonny, what's happening to my fingers? I can't stop playing.
Me neither.
So these sequences with the coffin, are classic horror vampire scenes with the hand coming out of the coffin, etc.
Yeah, very familiar from Hammer films.
A lot of fun to do these scenes.
Now, can you tell us a bit more about how it works then with getting into being a director in New Zealand? If you only can get movies made through the New Zealand Film Commission, I mean, how likely is it, if that's your dream, that that's going to happen?
Well, it's tough. I made a film called Angel Mine in 1978, and I shot it independently and took 10 minutes of edited footage to the very first interim film commission meeting in Wellington. They didn't even have offices. And they so loved the 10 minutes of Angel Mine that they actually wrote a check on the spot for me to complete Angel Mine. So I sort of jumped the queue with Angel Mine. So by the time Death Warmed Up and Grampire came along, I was already, a New Zealand film director. So that's how I just literally jumped in and went and made a feature film as a 21-year-old.
What did you make it on?
It's a feature called Angel Mine, and it's about a married couple that get caught up in the false advertising of TV commercials, because for me, TV commercials are a blueprint for how the capitalist state wants us to all be consumers.
But did you shoot it on film? You shot it on 16
I
millimeter?
shot it on reversal film. 16 millimeter. It was blowing up in London, and I think Angel Mine went to the London Film Festival back in 1978, 79.
Right.
And Moonrise also went to the Children's London Film Festival in 1992.
Did you guys travel with it?
Yeah, well, what was wonderful was it had been accepted into the Cinekid Festival in Amsterdam, which was only like about 2 weeks before.
Oh, perfect.
And we both had a wonderful time. We went to Amsterdam and then Rotterdam, where the film was shown. And then we flew to London, and Al Lewis came over to introduce the film at the Children's London Film Festival. So that was just fantastic.
And speaking of Russia, while Michael and I were in Rotterdam or Amsterdam, I can't remember which, we met the director of the Moscow Children's Film Festival.
Yes.
And he invited the film to Moscow. But what actually happened is that it never got screened. It got stolen. The film's reels got stolen by mafia and turned into DVDs, or no, it was VHSs in those days. Yeah. And so the festival invite was just an excuse to get a print into Russia so that they could make bootleg copies.
Oh, dear.
But yes, it was wonderful being in London with Al Lewis. And yes, it was a great festival experience.
Where did it show? In Leicester Square or one of those big cinemas there?
I think it was shown at the NFT.
Oh, it was NFT.
I think it was NFT 1, yeah. Oh, those were the days. Yes, wonderful.
And that's also where I met Paul Bartel.
Oh, yeah. How was Paul? He was a very jovial fellow when I met him.
Yes, he was a very lovely, friendly character. And one of my favorite films of all time is Eating Raoul.
Yeah, great film.
So, yes, so when I went to Hollywood, I actually went to his house and met with him. And again, he was one of those filmmakers that was very generous with his time. So obviously this ended up being a very simple ramp that we took Al and the kids up. These are the sort of shots that should have been full special effects, but we had to do it very much in camera with wind machines and like the shot here now.
The other interesting thing is that I made Cougar a vampire from the 18th century, and because of my love of music, I discovered this lovely chorus from Mozart's Die Zauberflöte, the magic flute, which we used a couple of times in the film, and I think it adds another dimension to Cougar's character as he explains to the boys in the scene that he's a vampire from the 18th century. So it gives him a whole new dimension. And here come our special effects done by a wonderful friend of David's called Kevin Chisnell.
Yes, Kevin worked on many of the great early classic New Zealand films. Battle Trucks, Sleeping Dogs.
How did you meet him?
Smash Palace. I met him through the producer, Murray Newey, who had worked as a first assistant director on some very large Australian-American productions. And he also came from the same part of the South Island as Murray. Kevin and Murray, both from the South Island. Both have passed, unfortunately.
So can you talk about the special effects of the flying and flying in front of the moon and things like that?
Well, all very simple stuff with just wind machines and obviously black backgrounds.
But a real moon, a real southern moon.
So do the New Zealand Film Commission, they obviously we dealt with them in order to be able to get this movie and Death Warmed Up. Are they good at keep preserving the New Zealand film heritage, and have they been easy to work with as far as getting your films restored?
Well, it's only in the last 5 years that the Film Commission have created the Heritage Trust to take back films made with Film Commission money where the producers are now elderly or passed away. So, Yes, it's only in the last 5 years that both Death Warmed Up and Grandpire have been restored. And obviously, as you know, there's a whole long tragic tale behind Death Warmed Up.
Yeah. Because there are elements missing and the negative's gone. But in this case, that everything was available, so we were able to make it pristine.
Well, the film has never really been seen in New Zealand, which is another interesting fact about it. Apart from its initial release, I think in '92, and then it went on to quite a lot of festivals out in the world. The film has never been re-seen in this country, so hopefully people will buy the American version of this film, so that people can basically enjoy it again.
Yeah, there's been no DVD version internationally, really. So this film was last seen when it was on VHS.
What kind of distribution did it get initially?
Well, the local release was considered a failure. It only lasted a couple of weeks in the cinemas. But the film was licensed all around the world for VHS. So it went to a lot of territories. And as Michael mentioned, I think there was about 30 plus festivals that it actually went to in its career. But it's just fascinating that a DVD version was never created in the height of the DVD period.
Yeah, so it kind of fell off the radar.
It did. But it's funny that I continue to get emails from fans worldwide. I just got one yesterday from a German saying, where can I find this most incredible Kiwi film? So it's very exciting to be able to say that Moonrise Grandpire is now being relicensed to Severin, etc.
Well, it was perfect for us because we started this sideline called Severin Kids, which was kind of started as a joke at first, but it because we had one title that was kind of a film called The Peanut Butter Solution, which a lot of people remember seeing as kids, which disturbed them. So we thought Severin Kids, that's funny because we're not really known for children's films. But then when a Grandpire came up, it obviously seemed to fit the bill very well.
Yeah.
So, but Michael, what about you and your break into the business? You mentioned that you were writing radio plays. Is that how you started?
Well, I suppose just to make it short, I've always been a writer from my early days, and in the early 70s, a group of friends went to London to live, and of course, London being one of the centres of the universe with the National Film Theatre, one could watch films every day. So I started. Well, in New Zealand, I made some documentaries with a friend of mine called Tony Williams, and we went to the Cannes Film Festival in 1976, when there was no film industry in New Zealand, made a documentary and interviewed a lot of people like Werner Herzog and Spielberg, Paul Bartel, again, met him. And this documentary was basically about why don't we have a cinema in New Zealand? So I came back to New Zealand and worked on a film called Next of Kin with Tony Williams, which I believe Severin also has released.
That's right. That's in our library.
And this was sort of basically the film I made before I met David and we made Death Warmed Up. So there's a lovely link between directors and films. And from then on, I've continued making my own documentaries, my own little films. And so that's sort of my short life, really.
What happened to the Cannes documentary? Do you still have it?
It hasn't been restored, unfortunately, but it's still available through New Zealand on screen. It's called Lost in the Garden of the World. And we were very fortunate to be able to interview Werner Herzog, Spielberg, Martin Scorsese also.
Wow.
So it's a really fascinating little documentary. It wasn't made through the Film Commission. It was made through Television New Zealand. And you can actually see it on New Zealand on screen. But hopefully one day it may be restored. But it's another fascinating look at our film industry.
And what became of the Moonrise radio show? Were you able to? Is it still available? Is there any way to listen to
Well,
it?
unfortunately, because we're in pandemic mode at the moment, and only yesterday I found out that it's because a lot of the people are not being able to work in various places at the moment. They can't retrieve the original cassettes to put onto. And I would love to have been able to have included it on this DVD. But unfortunately, due to COVID, they can't access the tapes at the moment.
Lonny, where have you been?
Aunt Leah, I've been up at Kanzura's. Why?
Something dreadful's happened. Your grandfather's body is just...
So things are getting pretty serious with the film now. Ernie Node is about to plunge the stake into Cougar, but the boys are now trying to find ways to basically hide him, to protect him from the killer at large, the big fat.
Tropes like driving a stake through the heart of beloved grandpa. How did you navigate those in the script writing process, seeing as this is a story for children?
Oh, it's comedy. I mean, the kids laugh. They think it's funny. There was a screening of the film. I can't remember where it was, but I think you can play with these symbols. But I mean, yes, they have violent attached, but it was just the way that the comedy works in the film. I think you sort of enjoy it more than. I mean, there's a scene like this, him coming to the window, and it's not a horror scene. All he's saying is he's thirsty. He just wants some water. So we turn the horror into comedy, which I think is which children really like because it's poking fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think children can handle the tropes of vampire movies anyway. It's usually adults who get afraid of that kind of thing.
Yeah,
of children seeing it. Were you a reader of Famous Monsters of Filmland?
No, well, the book I refer to is one of the great books on horror films ever written by the Cuban filmmaker Carlos Clarens. It's called Horror Movies: An Illustrated Survey. I think the book might be out of print at the moment, but I've had a copy for years, and it's one of the most wonderful books ever written about horror films. So that was sort of my first introduction into reading about the history of the genre. And of course, the horror genre, the vampire genre is still alive today. I mean, with all the films that are coming out on Netflix and on television, it's just the genre is endless.
Yeah, it is. And obviously the character of Dracula just keeps on coming back. Do you have a favorite Dracula in cinema history?
Probably, well, I think Murnau,
Yes.
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Nosferatu, I've just got a YouTube the other day to say that it was 100 years ago, David. This film was made in 1922.
Yep.
Right.
And Drea's Vampire, of course, is 1932. Of course, I love the Christopher Lee films, and I love Klaus Kinski, and there was a Coppola film too with who played
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I like that version.
That's
One
beautiful.
of my favorite vampire films is Near Dark.
Yeah, it's a great film.
And that's just coming up on Mubi, I've noticed. It's due this month, I think, on the US Mubi. So it's good that Catherine Bigelow's getting a bit of play. I like her films.
Yes. Well, she does fine since she's won a bunch of Oscars now. But
Yeah. But isn't it great that film's getting a new release too? So we're all in the vampire world at the moment. It's great.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you also mentioned in an interview, David, that you like The Hunger as well.
Yes.
Around the time that you did this.
Ridley. Ernie
Ridley.
It's
Ridley.
Tony Scott.
Tony
Oh, it is
Scott.
Tony. Sorry, Ridley.
Yeah, no, The Hunger with David Bowie. I like all Bowie's performances.
Yeah.
And there's also a wonderful film by Roger Vadim called Blood and Roses. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this film.
I have, yes.
Shot by the wonderful Claude Renoir. I've just received a copy with this subtitle print of it. It's a film going way back. I think it was made in 1960. Female vampires, David. Lesbian vampires.
Yes.
Absolutely way ahead of its time with all those gorgeous Italian actresses. So that's another favourite one too. Sorry for the rumbling, guys. It's a car just... So here's a classic Kiwi scene, the lawnmower. We like lawnmowers in New Zealand. I think they're in quite a few New Zealand films.
Yes. Why is that?
I don't know, because we cut our lawn. We all have lawns here. You know, I mean, not everybody, but we have a lot of greenery in our gardens, and we need lawnmowers.
Yeah.
So we're coming towards the scene where the boys try and escape with Cougar to hide him in the cave, and we go back onto the beach. So this is their preparation to take Cougar to hide him. And there's some good comedy coming, isn't there, Dave, with the girls on the beach?
Yes.
Did you have to work any short days with Al Lewis, considering his age, or I mean, you mentioned that you couldn't call him after a certain hour at night, but were there any problems with him?
No, not at all. He was great. And Al took full advantage also of his time off. He loved to bet on the horses. And he went with one of the associate producers to the trots and placed a number of bets, and they all came through. He picked all the winners, and he ended up being on a radio interview for several hours with a local radio identity, Tim Bickerstaff. So Al just had such a great time in New Zealand. Everywhere he went, of course, you know, his appearance, etc., had people curious, and of course, people recognised him from the Munsters.
This was sort of in the days before social media, in a way. You can imagine what would happen now if an actor came, because we've had so many big names through, you know, with the Jane Campion film, Benedict Cumberbatch being here. But it's interesting that this was before social media, so we kept him pretty quiet, though, didn't we, David? I mean, I think it was the wise thing to do.
Certainly. And of course, 30 years ago, there was no social media.
It's just interesting also looking at the film to see how it hasn't dated at all. Have you picked it up on that, David?
Yep.
It's interesting, isn't it? Just the clothes, and, you know, I mean, it doesn't look like a film made 30 years ago, which is sort of unusual in a way, because usually you can pick it up, because nobody's got a mobile phone, thank God.
Yeah.
And of course, when I got the Grand Prix in Paris for Death Warmed Up, Alejandro Jodorowsky was the head of the jury, and he said that I had an American eye. He felt that that my films, you know, worked within the American diaspora, if you like.
Yeah. What brought you over to the US in the first place, David?
Well, after the initial success of Death Warmed Up, I thought I want to go to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So I did. But to be honest, I was being a self-taught filmmaker. It was a bit of a shock to hit the Hollywood movie machine, if you like, particularly where producers would have their favorite cameraman and editor, and you as the director, unlike New Zealand, I wasn't able to really have my own team. So I found that the transition to Hollywood quite difficult.
Oh, really? So what was the first project you did out here?
A film in Miami called Nasty Hero, which I ended up not getting credited on.
Ah. Did you get used to it though as time went on, or did you miss how you made the early films?
Well, I was lucky to be able to make those films in Canada, where I felt a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was basically moving back and forwards from New Zealand to America. And this was sort of the period where it was most successful in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And are you still working on any genre projects at the moment?
Yes, I'm actually working on an alien abduction musical called Night Freaks.
Great.
And in a way, it's a bookend to my 1978 film Angel Mine.
Uh-huh.
But again, I've sort of had to go back, particularly with the whole COVID thing over the last couple of years. I've had to go back to an almost guerrilla style filmmaking.
And do you like that or no? Is that a step backwards?
Well, no, I see it as a continuation of the journey, because I'm still passionate about bringing my vision to screen, if you like. And of course, in the meantime, we've had the digital revolution.
Yeah.
Moonrise Grampire was shot on 35 mil. And of course, it was a physical thing with reels of film. And when you went into the editing room, you had editing machines and heavy reels of film. Now, of course, the digital revolution has meant that you can now shoot your feature film on your iPhone.
And edit it in your bedroom. Yeah.
And edit it in your bedroom. And because of COVID, you can't have a crew of 50. And it's actually now the reality is you can have 2 or 3 crew and shoot a film.
Yeah.
But I do miss the fact, of having a big production, and it certainly changes the dynamic now that it's sort of you and an iPhone and the actor.
Yeah.
It's much
but shooting
more
something like
personal.
this on 35 millimeter down at the beach or a historic house, if you have the New Zealand Film Commission on your side, does that make it easier to get and go anywhere to shoot scenes like this?
Obviously, it's having a budget, because obviously there are location permits, and like in America, as New Zealand's become more cinematically aware, people with Art Deco houses, etc., know that they can get a certain price for their film, for their house to be used in a film. So having a budget means you can have access to these historic places.
Yeah.
I'm now in a situation where I just steal those scenes.
Yeah.
I just go there and knock them off and be gone before anyone's aware that we've done it.
Right. So you have gone right back to being a young filmmaker, which it's not such a bad thing.
No, it has. It's been a complete return to the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so this movie was released as My Grandpa is a Vampire in the US. How did you have any involvement with the retitling of the film? Was it something you found out after it had been released?
something we found out after it was released. We didn't have any control over the Grampire title either, which was the New Zealand distributor's contribution. He didn't like Moonrise, didn't think it was strong enough.
Was that a bone of contention at all, or did you agree?
Well, I felt that Grampire wasn't the right title. And whether that name had anything to do with the lack of the initial success of the film in the cinemas, I don't know. But it was a created word, a manufactured word, Grampire.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you think it might have been confusing?
I'm not sure.
I mean, my grandpa is a vampire. Is pretty much says what
says
it
it
is.
all.
It says it all.
Yeah.
And of course, it also links back to the Munsters and Grandpa, so it was a perfect marketing link.
Yeah. Now, did you ever see Al Lewis again after that London premiere?
No. But I know that the producer had a number of conversations with Al, because in the end, we were never able to completely complete Al's payments, the deferrals, if you like, because the lack of cinematic success with the film meant that we weren't able to pay the deferrals.
Mm.
But Al was very gracious about it.
Was he happy with the movie?
Yes, I believe he was.
Did he do any other personal appearances other than the England festival appearance?
No, not that I can remember.
So you mentioned earlier that this is now 30 years on. I mean, how does it feel looking back on a film that's 30 years old and seeing it in this condition?
Well, it's sort of all that seeing all our friends who are no longer with us is really strange. And I mean, both young and old, isn't it, David?
Yes.
It's lovely, but it just looks so beautiful. I can't get over how gorgeous the colours are in it, and just it's amazing that half the cast have gone somewhere else.
And it has a sort of an innocence, a freshness, and a childlike curiosity. So I actually am really happy and blown away as we sit here watching it. Just what a marvelous film it is.
And also the use of, New Zealand landscapes have become very, very well known throughout the world, especially with, various films like the Lord of the Rings film, and also the Jane Campion film, which is shot down on the South Island. But we have this amazing country, which is just so beautiful. And just to see it in its natural state, as it always was and always will be, I think is another attraction about the film.
Yeah.
And things like the caves. These are all caves that I went to again as a child and teenager with the family on family picnics. So it's very much part of my, my childhood, a lot of these locations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, these are remarkable locations. I could see why you would want to capture them.
Good evening. Grandpa, we've been seen. Aunt Lee and Ernie know where you are. He's on his way. What are we gonna do?
Look, Lonny, my boy, I don't want you to worry. Let him come. I don't want you to concern yourself with such relatively unimportant human matters.
We've brought you some stuff.
Is there anything else you could tell us about Justin Goki? Because he died early. He died at the age of 36, I believe.
How old was he when he did this, David? 11 or 12?
I think about 12. They were both about 12 years old.
And he came out with his mum too, didn't he?
Yeah. I think it was a great experience for him. And I think, our whole welcoming New Zealand thing and the fact that Boric was such a sort of natural child actor that I think he sparked Justin to greater things.
And you say he's in a band now?
So yeah, Milan Boric is the lead singer in a band called Pluto, which I think have had American success.
What about me?
Oh, I tell you, tonight, because of you, I feel eternally young. Now, I want to celebrate. Where shall we go?
Hey, what about McDonald's? But it's not safe there. You'll be seen.
Lonny, my boy, let's be daring. I want to have fun. Mr. McDonald! Here we come!
So I'm at McDonald's. And of course, it was incredible. We talked to a local franchise owner of a McDonald's, and he agreed to the scene, which is one of my favorite in the film.
Grandpa, you look cool.
Give me 5, and 5 makes 10, and here we go.
Cheeseburger, 95 cents.
I don't think it's gone up too much in the intervening years, has it? I haven't been to a McDonald's in a while.
So, of course, what was funny about this scene is that Al starts talking to the kids around him, and
What's the matter with
it was a very funny scene.
Maybe he needs food.
So you were allowed to use the McDonald's logo because the franchise owner just said gave you permission to shoot there?
Absolutely. And, squeezing the raw meat patty, I thought we'd never get away with that.
Oh, yeah, you got Ronald McDonald's in there, the Golden Arches, you got the whole lot.
Well, again, it's that sort of link to America.
Yeah.
With McDonald's being, the first of the big American hamburger chains to come to New Zealand.
Yeah. Is there anything that you weren't able to get with the budget cuts? I mean, aside from the more kind of lavish special effects, was there anything else you had to change significantly?
Well, yeah, no, it was mainly special effects sequences that we had to lose.
Do you remember the rewriting, Michael, to adapt to that?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I think once we decided with Aunt Leah that her love interest, we turned it into a comedy duo with the two of them, and especially as he's out to hunt the vampire. So I don't think there was any problem. It was just I think we were almost in pre-production at the time that the script had to be redone. So I think it all sort of, and also having the actors available to us, it wasn't difficult. So no, it was only the special effects that we basically had to remove and concentrate more on character-based situations.
Now, were you using actual hamburger meat when you're squeezing the juice out of it?
Yep.
What, he's not actually drinking hamburger juice, raw hamburger juice, is it?
Oh, no.
I thought he might just have been that dedicated.
And there's a famous actor, David, famous person, Robert Bruce.
Yes. And, of course, the policeman.
Dickie Ticker.
Now, are these big New Zealand actors?
they're reasonably well-known Kiwi actors, yeah.
Well, David Weatherly was on Death Warmed Up. He played the
husband.
He played the husband, yes.
The father.
Don't let them take him away. They want to kill him, Mr. Tigger.
That's enough.
And I love that, you know, this whole transition occurs at McDonald's, the escape and the ineffectuality of the so-called law and order, you know, and the vampire escapes with his daughter.
I didn't mean any harm. Having a little fun.
What were the reviews like on the film when it came out?
Mixed.
You give me no choice, Father.
At the time,
No hope already put you up to this. That worthless.
But you found that that people who saw it when they were at a younger age, they love it.
yes, well, I worked for for 8 or 9 years as a directing tutor at a film school in Auckland. And for years and years, all the students would come to me and say, look, we grew up with Grandpire. We just love that film. So it certainly got seen by a lot of, you know, kids in New Zealand at the time. But given that it had a rather limited cinematic release, they would have all seen it at the height of the VHS period.
Yeah.
Where we had, you know, VHS video shops in every town and city in New Zealand. And it was a huge alternative to what was a very limited 3 TV channels at the time. That's all we had.
Yeah. Well, how has the filmmaking landscape changed over the years since you first started with production in New Zealand? Like, how many films per year were produced? Has it grown exponentially since the Lord of the Rings boom?
Not really. We sort of, there's about 10 films a year that seem to be made that have film commission funding and involvement. We've obviously become, you know, a Hollywood back lot, if you like.
Yeah.
And Peter Jackson's various huge companies have attracted, obviously, lots of international productions to New Zealand, like Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And also with Weta Workshop, David, a lot of films, CGI are done here in Wellington, like Shang-Chi and films like that. I mean, they do all the CGI work in New Zealand, so it's become a place for post-production as well.
So the Kiwi film industry still, after 30, 40 years, is still going through a boom and bust situation. Recently, Amazon pulled out of their 7-series Lord of the Rings TV remake, and only series 1 was done in New Zealand. It's now been shifted to England.
Oh.
And this is part of the problems that we're having with international borders around the COVID outbreaks. So suddenly we've gone from a boom situation pre-COVID to a huge number of international productions having to pull out or having trouble getting crew and cast into New Zealand because our international borders are still locked off. People from Australia can't come here. We've got no tourists here at the moment, none. So the country, like a lot of other countries, is in a bit of an economic upheaval, with the government obviously trying to provide subsidies and wage subsidies and to keep the various industries going.
Yeah. So how does that affect the project that you're working on now?
Well, a lot of us older filmmakers are basically have been left to our own devices, if you like. The Film Commission's attitude is that we're old enough and ugly enough to raise the money and create our own filmmaking. And the Film Commission's local focus obviously is on a much younger generation of filmmaker.
Yeah.
So actually dealing with the Film Commission on these old titles, to be honest, the current staff of the commission aren't that interested in the past.
Can
They're
you talk
more
about
focused on the, on the new filmmakers coming through.
right? Can you talk about the shooting of this the show with all the kids in the audience and all that kind of thing?
Well, this was one of the scenes that is again part of all of our childhoods, which is in New Zealand in the summer at the various beach resorts. They would always have these kind of family shows at the local little sound stadium.
Carnivals.
And the MC here, Max Cryer, who unfortunately passed, I can remember him at one of these carnival shows as a 8 or 9-year-old child at a beach resort called Whitianga in the North Island on the coast. So this was something that was part of my summer, my holidays, these beach carnival shows. And of course, it's a great place to showcase talent and young people doing things. Because of course we all, learnt an instrument at school and to have these sort of sound shell shows was definitely part of growing up in New Zealand.
Did you do that yourself? Did you perform in these talent shows?
No, I never performed in any of the shows myself.
You were part of the audience.
Yeah. But this little bow to the Polynesian dance with the 3 girls, this is all very much part of the sort of Polynesian culture. Auckland is perhaps the biggest Polynesian city in the world.
Do you remember growing up with these as well, Michael?
Yeah, I come from the bottom of the South Island of New Zealand, and coming from a sort of like farming background, Christmas time we always used to go to the seaside resorts where these carnivals used to happen. So it's I suppose it's there's a certain amount of it happening in England, down on the south coast like Brighton and that, where these places exist. But we thought this was the perfect place to have the climax of the film in front of and of course it was a wonderful event to be with, to shoot with actually real crowds, real people, and it's a very funny sequence. I love it.
And of course, carnivals had haunted houses and haunted trains, and that was sort of the crossover, if you like, into the horror vampire genre, is that carnivals do have that zone of horror and the unexpected.
Yeah.
And, we used to have hot dogs, which is battered hot dogs, which is sausages on a stick, and candy floss. So there are smells and tastes and sounds from our childhood that are celebrated in these scenes. But it also seemed a wonderful place to have the climax, because again, it's a world within a world, the carnival.
Yeah.
And in a way, it links to our unconscious.
Definitely.
And I wanted that zone to play out.
I'm sorry.
Were you there for the whole shoot, Michael?
Yes, I was. Yeah, it was great. Sometimes I stay away from things that I've been involved in, but because we'd been through Death Warmed Up and we'd had such a wonderful time making that film, which was an experience. The shooting of that was an experience, and this film was just a delight, wasn't it, David? It was
Absolutely.
just a happy time for everyone, and everyone just got on so well. So it was very, very memorable. Wonderful to re-see it again, to relive all the moments. And here we come to the inevitable, the sad ending. And I think the film has quite a few human qualities to it as well, especially with children and death. And I think this last sequence is absolutely lovely. And I know that children are very affected by the last scenes of the film.
Did you consider doing any more family movies after this?
Well, not really. It's funny where films come from. I mean, sometimes they've been with you for a long time, sort of residing in the back bedroom of your mind. But not really. I think children's films have become almost grown up now because everyone's making films about children who are having difficult lives, and I think that the entertaining children's film is sort of basically now animation. It seems to be in that zone. So, and children's films have become much more realistic. So we just wanted to keep this film, fairly much a family affair. So I think it does that really well.
Yes, it has a childlike innocence, and the children aren't sexually aware, which has sort of become the norm now, if you like. So I just think it's in a very special little zone, which allows an audience to really get to the emotion of these characters.
And how do you feel in general about horror films for children? There are lots of good examples, actually, over the years, and it seems really to lend itself, and you've captured it very well here, exactly, what it is about things like vampires that kids like.
But will we ever see you again, Grandpa?
Oh, Lonny, I'll always be there. Hey, Kanziori?
As Al's saying there, I'll always be there. I'll always be in your dreams, which is really what happens when, as you get older, you lose your parents and other people around you. And yes, they do continue to exist in your dreams and in your subconscious. And we really wanted to try and make that connection.
Yeah.
It's very hard to say goodbye. And when it actually happens in your life, it's actually always a shock because you've got no awareness of it until, a parent departs, that you become aware of the loss. Because as a child, it's hard to understand people disappearing and dying.
Now, Al's kind of a ripe old age here, but didn't you say that he told you he was one age but was possibly another? Because I think he lived several years after this, right?
He did. He led us to believe he was in his 90s.
Was that just to get the role as Grandpa or Grandpire?
I think he just felt that it added gravitas.
Is there anything further you want to add about working with Al or this movie?
Well, I think, if he's looking down from heaven, he'll be very proud that this film is going to live on. And it really complements his incredible American legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely an icon.
And I think the film will bring Al to a whole new generation of young American children.
Makes him go funny in the head. Really screwy, man.
So how do you feel about where this particular film sits in your filmography, David?
Well, I think it's an important part of the journey for me, because I always have tried to reinterpret the genre films, if you like, and bring a freshness that's part of my personality and Michael Heath's personality, if you like. We've tried to subvert the genre to tell a story about two cultures and a shared love of the vampire genre, if you like. And it might have been that those two cultures 30 years ago, maybe it was too soon to make films that shared those two cultures, the American Kiwi culture. But now, 30 years later, New Zealand and Australian stories and actors and filmmakers are now completely part of the international cinema genre, if you like. So I think this film was way ahead of its time in a way.
I would agree with that. What do you think, Michael?
Well, I think David summed it up really well. Yes, in a way, David and I have not belonged really to the established filmmaking fraternity. We've always been slightly away from the edge. I mean, it's so nice to be different from a lot of other people, and in a way, we've sort of we were known as this. We weren't belonging to the mainstream, and I think what this film has, as David said, it has an innocence about it, and it's also a love letter to the genre. And I hopefully it's in its new resurrection will find a new audience who will appreciate what happened here 30 years ago. So
yes, well, thank you, David Gregory of Severin Films, for bringing this back.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and it's been my pleasure to speak to you both.
Thank you, David. It's been fantastic watching it again with you all this morning, and all in different parts of the world.
David and Michael, thank you very much.
The arrogance I can't erode. My heart hates into a long